All right, let's dive in. We're about to explore a fascinating alternate history, one that hinges on a single, massive question about how Western civilization turned out. I mean, just think about it for a second. What if the Roman Empire never actually fell? What if, instead of crumbling, it just kept going? It adapted, it evolved, and it survived all the way to today. We're going to look at a world where Rome didn't just hang on, it absolutely thrived. So you're probably asking, how is that even possible? Well, it wasn't some kind of miracle. Nope. It all comes down to a few key moments in history where things went a little differently. It's really a story of smart moves and adaptation winning out over collapse. Okay, so this new timeline kicks off with a few major changes. First up, back in the 3rd century, Emperor Aurelian manages to survive an assassination attempt. In our history, that event totally destabilized the empire. But here, he lives, the line of succession is secure, and Rome gets a much-needed dose of stability. Then, 100 years later, instead of going to war with the Germanic tribes, Rome does something brilliant. They assimilate them. They bring them into the fold. So, would-be enemies become the empire's staunchest defenders. But here's where things get really wild. In the 6th century, scholars in Alexandria figure out steam power. Yeah, that starts the Industrial Revolution a full 1,000 years early. And by the 10th century, you've got Roman longships powered by steam, crossing the Atlantic and colonizing the Americas, which they call Terra Nova. And that brings us to now. The year is 2776, Ab Urbe Condita, that is, from the founding of the city. So forget what you know about Rome as a city of ancient ruins. Picture this, a global megalopolis, home to 2 billion citizens. You've got maglev chariots zipping around the Colosseum, Praetorian guards patrolling in high-tech powered armor. The whole city is just buzzing, the heart of a truly global industrialized empire. So you have this incredible, futuristic utopia. And it seems completely untouchable, right? Well, even an eternal city has its weak spots. And that's where our story really gets going, with a single crime. But this isn't just any crime. This is an attack that threatens to pull the thread on nearly 3,000 years of history. And the man tasked with figuring it all out is senior investigator Marcus Severus. The target of this attack, it wasn't gold, it wasn't treasure, it was the Aeriarium. Now, the Aeriarium used to be the treasury, but in this modern Rome, it's something so much more. It's the digital heart of the entire empire. I'm talking a massive, central data bank that stores everything. The personal records, the financial data, the civic info for all 2 billion citizens. Here's the twist, though. The attackers didn't steal anything. This was an erasure. They went in and just deleted something. And what they deleted was critical. The architectural blueprints for the Tiber hydro dam. You know, the dam that provides about 80% of Rome's power. Think about that. You don't just erase blueprints for fun. You do it to hide a weakness, right before you plan to attack it. So the investigation gets underway, led by the brilliant chief architect Livia Drusilla, and they find one single chilling piece of evidence left behind, a tiny logic bomb fused to the mainframe. Now, when they analyze this thing, everything, the specific metals used, the unique traces of copper, even the signature in the computer code, it all points to one single place, the province of Nova Virginia, way across the ocean in Terra Nova. And that code, it belongs to a radical group they call the Liberatores. And you need to understand, this wasn't just some random act of terrorism. No, this was ideological. It's rooted in a really complex and frankly dangerous philosophy, one that's been quietly growing in the farthest corners of the empire for a long, long time. So who are these guys? The Liberatores? Well, they're revolutionaries, and they have this core belief that the Pax Romana, the 2,000-year-long Roman peace, has actually been a total disaster for the human race. Their whole argument is that without war, without real competition, without distinct nations fighting for dominance, humanity has just stopped evolving. We've stagnated. Basically, they see this global peace, this single Roman culture, as a kind of gilded cage. It looks nice, but it's holding us back. For the Liberatores, the only thing that drives progress is conflict. And so, in their minds, the only way for humanity to get back on track is to completely shatter the Roman Empire and let new, separate, and warring nations rise up from the ashes. And this quote from their leader, a guy named Cassius, who's the prefect of Nova Eboracum, that's their New York, by the way, it just sums up their whole worldview perfectly. He says, "The empire is a rotting corpse. It's time for the nations of the world to be born. So he doesn't see Rome as a protector of civilization. He sees it as this dead thing that's preventing new life from growing. So, with this information in hand, investigator Marcus and architect Livia head straight for the source, Nova Eboracum. They think they're on the hunt, trying to unravel a conspiracy. But what they don't realize is they're walking right into a trap. Prefect Cassius himself leads them to a warehouse, and inside, there's this huge bomb. But it's a fake. It's a decoy. And just as they realize this, his own soldiers turn their weapons on them. That's when Cassius lays it all out. The real threat isn't this bomb. It's a tiny, cloaked drone that's already hovering over the Tiber Dam back in Rome, and it's set to blow. Turns out Cassius isn't their ally. He's the mastermind behind the whole thing. But right as the trap springs shut, Livia does something absolutely brilliant. She still has that original logic bomb they found back in Rome. She yanks it out and throws it right into the power source of the decoy bomb. Now, it doesn't cause a massive explosion. Instead, it unleashes a powerful electromagnetic pulse, an EMP, that instantly fries the traitors' powered armor and shuts down all their advanced weapons. Just like that, the tables are turned. They're not out of the woods yet, though. Not even close. That drone back in Rome, it's still there, and its countdown is on autopilot. They have exactly 10 minutes. 10 minutes until it blows, and takes half of Rome with it. And this is where Marcus shows just how clever he is. You can't shoot what you can't see, right? The drone is cloaked, so he thinks if we can't shoot it, let's catch it. He gets on a secure quantum comms link to his junior investigator back home and gives him this completely crazy plan. He tells him to race to the Colosseum and grab the retiari, the net-launching drones they use in the gladiator games to catch runaway chariots. The plan is to get those game drones out to the dam, fly them to the right coordinates, and just launch their nets blind. If they can just tangle up the cloaked drone, it'll fall right into the reservoir. No explosion. It's a desperate, totally out-of-the-box plan, and it works. They save the city. But here's the thing. Stopping the bomb doesn't solve the underlying problem that the Liberatores brought to light. In fact, it does the opposite. It makes that central philosophical crack running through the heart of this eternal Rome even more obvious. With just seconds to spare, the net snags the drone. It detonates underwater, and while it's strong enough to crack the dam, it doesn't break it. So Rome is saved. The rebellion is put down. But the idea that fueled it, that's not going anywhere. And that really forces us to confront the big question at the heart of this entire world. Is this 2,000-year-long Roman peace really the ultimate triumph of civilization, or is it just a beautiful prison, a gilded cage? It's a question that feels really relevant, actually echoing our own debates today about security versus freedom, and what the real price of progress is. Livia, the engineer who literally just saved the day, is pretty shaken up by all this. She starts to see where the rebels were coming from. From her point of view, the Empire has made a trade. They've given up real freedom, that messy, chaotic, unpredictable thing that drives innovation, all for the sake of comfort and security. But Marcus, the veteran investigator, he sees it completely differently. He pushes back hard. For him, the Empire isn't a cage, it's a sword. It's the one thing that keeps the wolves at bay, the only thing holding back the kind of chaos and bloodshed he knows is always simmering just beneath the surface. Yeah, the price for that kind of security is high, but for him, the price of letting everything fall apart would be so much worse. And that's where we're left, with this really unsettling final thought. This version of Rome has survived everything: invaders, revolutions, rebellions. But maybe its greatest threat isn't some enemy at the gates. Maybe it's a truth that's been growing from within. In a world built on perfect, absolute order, what happens when the human desire for a little chaos, for change, for freedom, just becomes too powerful to keep locked up?
Please like and subscribe.